There was a specific point, a specific ordinary moment that carried more weight than it had any right to carry. And it's the moment I keep returning to when I try to understand the full shape of what I feel for you. When I try to trace this back to its beginning, you were talking about something that mattered to you. Something you loved, really loved. The way you love the things that are woven into who you actually are, rather than just what you happen to like. And your whole face changed. Not dramatically, not in a way anyone else might have caught, but I was paying close attention. I was always paying close attention when it came to you. Even before I admitted to myself why, and I saw it. This quiet illumination, like something switched on behind your eyes. Like the careful, measured version of yourself that you present to the world relaxed its grip for just a moment, and the real, unguarded, completely alive version of you stepped forward and simply existed, without apology, without editing, without the slight performance that public living requires from all of us. And I lost my breath. Genuinely. There was a moment where breathing required conscious effort, because something in me was too busy recognizing what I was seeing to remember to do it automatically. Because what I was seeing was you, the real you, and the real you was so completely, unexpectedly, overwhelmingly beautiful that my entire system needed a second to adjust. I've been adjusted ever since. Around the fact of you, around the specific, irreducible, incomparable reality of you. And now you might be leaving. And I need you to understand, really understand, not just hear the words, but feel the weight of them. What that means from where I'm standing. What the possibility of you leaving actually costs me. It costs me the person I've become in proximity to you. Because I am different near you. Better, I think. More honest, more present, more willing to be real than I typically manage to be. You pull something out of me that I spend most of my life keeping carefully stored away. Something open. Something that believes, genuinely believes, that being honest about what you feel is worth the vulnerability it requires. I don't access that easily. I don't trust it easily. But near you, it arrives without effort, without resistance, without all the negotiation I usually have to do with myself before I can let something real show on the surface. Near you, it's simply there, ready, unafraid. If you leave, I lose access to that version of myself. And I don't say that to make you feel responsible for me. Please don't hear it that way. I'm not asking you to stay for my sake in some heavy obligating way. I'm just telling you the truth of what your presence has given me. The truth of what proximity to you has quietly built inside me. You made me braver without meaning to. You made me more real without asking me to be. And those are gifts I didn't know I needed until I had them, and I don't know how to imagine giving them back. I want to tell you something about the way I've been moving through these recent days. Something I haven't told anyone, because it's the kind of interior thing that doesn't have easy language. That sounds strange when you try to put it into words, but is completely viscerally real in the living of it. I've been carrying this low-level awareness of potential loss, not loudly, not in a way that interrupts everything and demands attention. Quietly, persistently, like a frequency running underneath the ordinary sounds of the day that you can't quite tune out, can't quite identify, can only feel as a kind of vague unease that sharpens into something more specific whenever you let yourself think about what it actually is. It sharpens into you, into the thought of you not being there, into the imagined texture of ordinary days, without the particular warmth that knowing you, being near you, having you as part of my world has given them. And that imagined texture is so flat, so colorless, So emptied of something I've come to need the way you need. Good light, not desperately, not dramatically, but completely, as a condition for seeing things properly. That I can't sit with it for long before something in me says no. Firmly, quietly, completely, no. Find another way, say what needs to be said, do what needs to be done, but don't just let this leave without fighting for it. So I'm fighting for it. This is me fighting for it. Not with grand gestures, not with performance, not with anything that's designed to impress. With the only currency I have that's actually worth anything, honesty. Complete, undefended, slightly terrifying honesty. I need you to know how I see you, because I don't think anyone has told you properly. I don't think you've been given an accurate enough picture of what you look like from the outside. From the outside of someone who has been paying real attention, not passing attention, not the kind of attention that notices the surface and calls it knowing. Real attention. The sustained, consistent, caring kind. The kind that accumulates over time into genuine understanding. From that vantage point, from the place of having paid that quality of attention for that length of time, here is what you look like. You look like someone who gives more than she takes, and has been doing it so long that she stopped noticing the imbalance. You look like someone who listens deeply, who actually hears what people are saying underneath what they're saying, who registers the thing they almost said before they edited it into something safer. You look like someone who cares about the right things, not the impressive things, not the things that earn you approval, but the things that actually matter, the things that hold meaning when you press them and don't crumble into performance. You look like someone who has been strong for so long, so reliably, for so many people, that the question of who is strong for you has somehow never quite been answered. I want to answer it. I want to be the answer to it. Not perfectly. I won't promise you perfect because perfect is a lie, and you deserve better than lies. But genuinely, consistently, with the full weight of my attention and my care and my absolute unwavering willingness to show up. Not on the days when showing up is easy and comfortable and costs nothing. On the hard days, on the days when you're tired down to something deeper than tiredness. On the days when you've given everything you have and the tank is empty and you don't even have the energy to ask for what you need. On those days especially. Those are the days I want to be there, but I can't be there if you leave. And that's why I'm asking you to stay. There is something I've been afraid to ask you because the question contains the answer to so many other questions. And the answer might be one I'm not ready for. But I'm done letting fear make my decisions about you. Fear has been making too many of my decisions about you for too long. And look where it got us. Here in this moment, with you maybe on the edge of leaving and me having to say all of this in a rush, because I waited too long to say it in the space and comment. Deserved. So here is the question. I'm going to ask it, and I need you to sit with it, honestly, not with the first response that comes up, which is often the defended one, the careful one, the one that protects you from feeling too much. The real answer, the one that lives underneath the careful one. Did any of this feel safe to you? Being near me, sharing the things you shared, being the particular way you were when your guard was down, did that feel like somewhere you could actually rest? Because that's what I wanted to give you, more than anything else, more than all the other things I wanted to offer. I wanted to give you a place where the armor could come off. Where you didn't have to be capable and together and generous and strong, where you could just be unfinished and uncertain and in the middle of things and have that be completely, unconditionally okay. I wanted to be your rest. I don't know if I managed it. I don't know if the version of me you were experiencing was open enough, steady enough, clearly enough, safe to make that possible. But God, I wanted to. I still want to. That want has not diminished by 1 degree through any of this. Please let me try. Please don't close this before I've had the chance to actually show you, rather than just tell you. Because I know I understand completely that words are easy. That anyone can arrange words into something that sounds like sincerity. That you've probably heard beautiful words before that turned out to be architecture with nothing real inside. I know that. I know I'm asking you to trust something that has required trust before and cost you something when it turned out to be misplaced. I know what I'm asking anyway, because I believe with everything I have, with every part of me that has been paying this quality of attention for this long, that what exists between us is not nothing. It is not ordinary. It is not something that comes around regularly. Something you can afford to let go of and expect to find again somewhere down the road, in a simpler, less complicated form. What exists between us is specific. It has the texture of something real, and real things, things that are actually rare and genuinely precious, deserve to be held onto, even when holding on is hard, especially when holding on is hard. I have things I still want to say to you. So many things. Things I've been collecting in the quiet, in the private, interior space where I keep what matters most. Tucking them away, meaning to say them, waiting for the right moment. I don't want to keep waiting. I've learned recently and painfully that the right moment is not something that arrives on its own. The right moment is something you make by deciding that what you need to say is more important than the fear of saying it. This is me deciding you change something in me. I need you to know that. Not metaphorically, not as a poetic way of saying you were nice to be around. Literally, actually, in the real substance of how I move through my life, you change something. The way I think about what I deserve. The way I think about what it's okay to want. The way I think about what connection is supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to give you. How you're supposed to feel in the presence of someone who genuinely sees you. I thought I knew those things before you. I had a model of them, a working understanding that felt adequate. And then I got near you and realized my model was a very rough approximation of the real thing. That I had been accepting an imitation without knowing the real thing existed. You are the real thing. Whatever this is between us, whatever it looks like from the outside, whatever category it fits into or doesn't fit into, the feeling of it is real. I don't have the ability to manufacture what I feel when I'm thinking about you, when I'm near you, when I imagine a version of things where you stay and we find out what this actually is. I'm not that good a liar, not with myself, not about something that lives this deep. It lives very deep. It has been living there, growing quietly, becoming more itself with every passing day, becoming less possible to ignore or minimize or talk myself out of. And now you might be leaving, and I feel it like something physical, like an actual weight, like the specific gravity of losing something before you ever properly had it, which is its own particular kind of grief, not the grief of having and losing, but the grief of almost, of nearly, of so close, and then not quite. That specific grief, the grief of almost, is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. And yet here I am, living inside it, feeling the full weight of what it means to be this close to something real, and feel it beginning to slip. And the worst part, the part that makes it hardest to breathe when I let myself sit with it fully, is that it doesn't have to be this way. That's what keeps me here, talking, saying all of this. The knowledge that this particular grief is not inevitable, that there is still time, that you are still here, still listening, and while you're listening, there is still the possibility of something different than loss. Please keep listening. I want to tell you something about the night I realized I was completely, irrevocably in this. Not falling, I was past falling, fallen, settled. Already so deep into caring about you that the idea of a version of my life without you in it had become genuinely difficult to construct in my imagination. It was late, the kind of late that strips everything down to what's actually true, that removes all the daytime noise and busyness that we use, consciously or not, to avoid sitting with the things we're not ready to face. And I was sitting with it, fully, without the noise, without the distraction, just me and the honest truth of what I felt, with nowhere to put it, and no one to say it to, and this ache in my chest that had been building quietly for so long that I'd almost gotten used to it, almost mistaken it for something normal, almost forgotten that aches like this are not supposed to be normal. They're supposed to mean something. They're supposed to point you towards something. They're supposed to be listened to. I listened to it that night. For the first time, really listened. And what it said was your name. Not dramatically. Not in the way that makes a good story. Quietly. Just yours. Just that simple. That complete. That utterly without ambiguity. And I sat with that for a long time. Not doing anything with it. Just letting it be true inside me. Letting the fullness of it exist without immediately trying to manage it, or minimize it, or fit it into something more acceptable, more proportionate, more easily explained. It didn't want to be minimized. It didn't want to be proportionate. It wanted to be exactly what it was, large and real and completely stubbornly itself. So I let it be that, for one whole night, alone in the quiet. I let myself feel the full size of what you mean to me without apologizing for it, or qualifying it or wrapping it in careful language designed to make it easier for other people to receive. And it was terrifying, and it was the most honest thing I'd done in years, and somewhere in the middle of it I made a decision. A quiet, private, completely certain decision. I decided that if there was ever a moment, any moment, however imperfect, however complicated, however far from the ideal circumstances I'd imagined, I would say it. I would not let fear win again. I would not let another person who mattered deeply to me remain unaware of that mattering, because I was too careful, too self-protective, too committed to the performance of having everything under control to admit that some things are bigger than your control. Some feelings don't fit inside careful management. Some truths insist on being spoken whether or not the timing is elegant. This is that moment. Imperfect and urgent and so far from elegant, but real. The realest thing I've offered anyone in a very long time. And I want to ask you something that I've been circling around without quite landing on. Something underneath all the other things I've said. Something that was there first. Before the words, before the confession, before this whole long, honest unraveling. I want to ask you what you're afraid of. Not in a challenging way. Not as if I think your fear is unreasonable or something to be argued out of. Genuinely. Because I think you're afraid of something specific. I think there's a particular shape to what has been making you pull back, what has been creating that distance I've been feeling. And I think if I knew its actual shape, I could tell you whether it's something we can face together, or whether it's something you need me to simply hold space around while you navigate it yourself. I want to know your fear, because I want to stop being afraid of it on your behalf. I've been tiptoeing around the edges of whatever it is for too long, treating it like something that might break if I got too close, being so careful not to push that I've ended up not reaching at all. And not reaching, I've discovered, has its own cost. Not reaching looks like safety, but it produces the same outcome as rejection. It leaves the distance in place. It leaves you on one side and me on the other. And this enormous, unnecessary, bridgeable gap between us that neither of us is crossing because we're both being so careful not to impose. I'm done being so careful that I'm absent. I'm done protecting you from my reaching by not reaching at all. Here I am, reaching, fully, openly, without the careful management. Reaching for you and hoping, with everything I have, that you'll reach back. Because here is what I know about you and fear. I know that fear has told you things about yourself that are not true. I know it has shown you a version of yourself that is smaller than the real version, less worthy than the real version, less deserving of the good things than the real version. I know this not because I've been told it, but because I have eyes, and I've been paying attention, and the gap between how you see yourself on the hard days and how I see you every day is so vast that sometimes it makes me ache. You are so much more than the version of yourself that fear introduces you to, so much more capable of being loved well, so much more worth fighting for, so much more deserving of someone who shows up, not because it's convenient or comfortable or costs them nothing, but because showing up for you is simply what they want to do, simply the thing that makes the most sense, simply the choice they would make again and again in whatever circumstances, under whatever conditions, without needing to think about it. I want you to let someone love you like that. I want to be that someone. And I need you to understand that I'm not saying this because I feel sorry for you, or because I think you need saving, or because I've mistaken your occasional vulnerability for weakness. I'm saying it because you are remarkable, because the person I have been watching, paying attention to, quietly and completely falling for, that person deserves to be loved with the full weight of someone's attention and care and absolute certainty. Not a partial love, not a conditional one, not the kind that shows up when it's easy and finds reasons to be elsewhere when it isn't. The full thing. You deserve the full thing. I want to give you the full thing. And I know this is a lot to receive in a single moment. I know that feelings of this size don't come with instructions for how to respond to them. I know you might be sitting with this and feeling things that pull in different directions. Some part of you moved, some part of you cautious, some part of you wanting to believe it, and some part of you that has been burned before reminding you of the cost of believing things that turned out not to be true. I know all of that is happening. I can feel it, even through everything. And I want to address the cautious part directly, the part that remembers being burned, because that part deserves to be spoken to rather than asked to simply stand aside. That part of you is not wrong. It's not irrational. It's not something to be ashamed of or pressured out of. It exists because you have been real with people before and had that realness handled carelessly. You have opened up and had the opening taken for granted. You have trusted and had the trust treated as less precious than it was. And those experiences left marks. Of course they did. Only someone who had never truly been hurt could emerge from that without marks. The marks are evidence that you loved honestly and got less than honesty in return. They are not evidence that you did something wrong. They are not evidence that this is what you should expect. They are not evidence of anything about your worth or your lovability or what you deserve. They are simply evidence that the wrong people with the wrong capacity came into contact with the right person at the wrong time. I want to be the right person at the right time. I want to be someone whose presence slowly, gently, with complete patience, gives your cautious part enough evidence that it can rest. Not because I demanded that it rests, not because I overwhelmed it with reassurances until it went quiet, but because I showed up consistently in the same way, with the same care across enough time and enough ordinary moments that the cautious part simply ran out of reasons to stay on high alert. That's how trust is really built, not in the grand moments, in the small, consistent, unremarkable ones, in the accumulation of someone doing what they said they would do, in the steady, quiet, reliable reality of someone being who they showed you they were. Let me show you who I am, over time, in the small moments, with the full consistency of someone who means what they say. There's something I want to describe to you. Something about what I imagine, what I let myself imagine, in the quieter, more honest moments. When I'm not managing my hoping the way I usually try to manage it, I imagine mornings. Ordinary mornings, not special ones. The kind of morning that isn't trying to be anything, that has no agenda, that simply is what it is. Early light, the slow return of the world, that particular quality of quiet that exists before the day finds its volume. I imagine being in the same space as you in a morning like that. Not doing anything significant, just existing in the same unhurried morning. And the thing that gets me, the detail that I return to every time, that makes this imagining feel less like fantasy and more like something true, is that in my imagination you're comfortable. You're not performing or being careful or managing anything. You're just there, in the particular way that you are when nobody needs anything from you, when you're allowed to simply exist at your own pace, in your own space. And you're comfortable, and that comfort, your ease, your presence, the simple fact of you being somewhere and being okay, that's the thing that gets me every time. I want to be someone who makes you comfortable like that. Someone in whose presence you don't have to be anything other than exactly what you are on a given morning. Someone who sees the unguarded version and thinks, there. That one. That's the one I want to be near. I also want to tell you something harder. Something I've been building toward through everything else. Something that requires more courage than the rest of it. Because it's more exposed, more specific, more vulnerable to being misunderstood. I want to tell you that I'm scared too. That this, all of this, is not comfortable for me either. That opening like this, being this visible, saying these things with this level of directness, it cost me something real. I'm not doing it from a position of having nothing to lose. I'm doing it from a position of being terrified of what I might lose by not doing it. There's a difference, and I want you to know the difference because I think it matters. I'm choosing to be scared and honest rather than protected and silent. Because the protected and silent version of this ends with you leaving and me never having said what I needed to say, and I cannot make peace with that ending. I have tried in the past few days to imagine making peace with it, to imagine accepting the distance, letting you go, telling myself it wasn't meant to be, and finding a way to believe it. And I can't. I cannot make peace with it because it isn't true. It isn't meant to not be. I don't believe that for even a moment. What I believe, what I feel with the full certainty of someone who has done the hard, honest, interior work of understanding what they actually feel, is that this is meant to be exactly what it could be, if we both decide to stop being afraid of it at the same time. I've decided to stop being afraid of it. I'm telling you that clearly, without hedging. I'm not afraid of this anymore. I'm not afraid of wanting you, of needing you near, of caring about you in this large, unruly, completely sincere way. I'm not afraid of what that makes me look like, or what it might cost me, or whether it's too much for the moment. It's real, and I'm done being afraid of real things, just because real things are vulnerable. Now I need to know, and I'm asking you gently, with all the patience I have, with no pressure attached to the question except the honest weight of caring deeply about the answer.
He only sees the surface, the calmness, the softness. He doesn't know the strength beneath your quiet. He doesn't know how your silence holds more power than his entire counsel. He doesn't know that when you love with a loyalty that could rival kingdoms. If he understood even a fraction of who you are, he would fear losing you, not fear you taking me away. But kings don't understand hearts. They only understand control. And he lost control the moment you touched my life. So I'm telling you this now, not to hurt you, not to burden you, but to let you know exactly what I stand against, what I fight for. His words shocked me, yes, but they also woke something inside me, something fierce, something unbreakable. His disapproval doesn't push me away from you, it pulls me closer. Because if the world tries to paint you as the enemy, then I will gladly stand on the other side with you against all of them. His doubts don't scare me. His threats don't shake me. If anything, they made me realize just how far I'm willing to go for you. You don't know how hard it was to sit there and listen, pretending his words didn't tear through me. I kept my face still, controlled, expressionless, the way a prince should. But inside, I was burning. Every sentence felt like an attack on something sacred. I wanted to stand up, shout your name, defend you with the kind of fury that would shake the palace walls. But I stayed silent, not out of obedience, but because I knew if I spoke, I wouldn't stop. I would have said things no son should say to his father. That's the effect you have on me. You make me protect you beyond reason, beyond caution, beyond blood. When he finished speaking, I realized something. He doesn't fear you. He fears the power you have over me. He fears the way I change when it comes to you. The softness in my voice, the gentleness in my touch, the way I stop being his perfect hair and become something unpredictable. You broke the version of me he built. You made me human, emotional, reckless, and that terrifies him more than any political threat. He doesn't understand that a man is strongest when he loves without apology. He only understands dominance, not devotion. You became the one a part of me he couldn't control, and that's why he tries to ruin your name. I should have expected his bitterness. It's in his nature to hurt what he cannot bend. But hearing him speak about you as if you were some mistake I made, that's where I lost myself. I kept looking at him and thinking, how can you judge her when you've never even looked into her eyes? How can he speak of you with such certainty when he doesn't know the way you steady me when the world becomes too loud? He sees you as a threat, but I see you as the only place where I'm safe enough to be real. Maybe that's why his words shocked me, because they revealed how blind he is to the truth. After he left, the silence felt violent. I kept replaying his sentences, trying to understand how anyone could twist something pure into something dangerous. And then I realized, the danger isn't you. The danger is what I'm willing to do for you. He knows that if it ever came down to choosing between his crown and your hand, I would choose you without hesitation. That's what frightens him, not you. Not your love, but the strength it gives me to defy him. He raised a prince, but you created the man. And men who love deeply don't bow easily. I don't know where you are right now, but I wish you could hear me. I wish you could feel the way my hands shake with the need to protect you from every harsh word spoken behind palace walls. I wish you knew how every insult thrown at you becomes a wound carved into me. You're not here, yet everything I do revolves around the thought of you, your breath, your silence, your absence. And as much as it hurts, I'm grateful for the pain because it reminds me that my love for you hasn't weakened. It has sharpened. It has become something fierce, something unbreakable. The more he speaks against you, the more I realize how much you mean to me. His disapproval doesn't distance me from you. It pushes me deeper into the gravity of who you are. You're the rebellion I never planned, the choice I never questioned, the fire I never wanted to extinguish. You may not be beside me right now, but your shadow follows me in every room, every decision, every breath. Even when I'm silent, I'm thinking of you. Even when I'm still, I'm fighting for you. And he will never understand that kind of loyalty. So let him talk. Let him doubt. Let him poison the air with his judgments. None of it matters. Because he doesn't know what I know. He doesn't feel what I feel. He doesn't carry your name like a heartbeat inside him. I do. And no matter how harsh his words become, no matter how fierce the pressure grows, nothing will make me see you through his eyes. I will always see you through mine, with the same hunger, the same devotion, the same fierce protectiveness that started the moment you touched my soul. You know what stayed with me the most? Not his anger, but the certainty in his voice when he said you were nothing. That word kept echoing in my mind long after he left the room. Nothing? As if you haven't rebuilt every broken piece of me with your presence. As if you didn't give me a kind of peace the palace could never offer. It shocked me. Not because he insulted you, but because he thinks he can define you. He thinks your worth comes from titles, blood, status. He has no idea that your worth comes from the way you love, the way you endure, the way you make a man like me fall to his knees without ever asking him to. If he thinks you're nothing, then he's never understood what something real looks like. I kept picturing you while he talked your silence, your strength, your stubborn softness. He thinks you're fragile, someone he can easily dismiss. But you're not fragile. You're fire disguised as calm. You're steel wrapped in warmth. You're the kind of woman who survives storms without asking for shelter. And that alone makes you more powerful than all the men in that palace combined. He doesn't see that. He doesn't see how you hold me together when his expectations threaten to tear me apart. If he truly knew who you were, he would fear losing you, not fear you being with me. His words didn't just shock me, they disappointed me. I expected resistance, yes. I expected questions, warnings, maybe even anger, but I never expected cruelty. I never expected him to be so threatened by the way I look at you. And it made me realize something I never admitted to myself. He's jealous. Not of you, but of the part of me he can't reach anymore. The part you've claimed. You took a piece of me that used to belong to this palace, and instead of wanting it back, I gave you more. That's what he can't stand. You didn't just enter my life, you rewrote it. After he left, I sat there thinking about every moment you've stood by me, quietly, fearlessly, without asking for anything in return. And the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Angry that he spoke of you with such arrogance. angry that I wasn't there to shield you from those words, even if you never heard them. Angry that I am forced to choose between blood and the one person who feels like home. But underneath that anger was something deeper. A promise. A promise that his voice will never define how I see you. A promise that I will never let their bitterness stain your name. You're not here, but I wish you could see what his words awakened inside me, a darker part of me, a protective part, a part that refuses to let anyone, even a king, speak about you like you're less than what you are. You became the line I refused to let anyone cross. The moment he insulted you, something shifted, something snapped. And all I could think was, if he dares to repeat those words to your face, I would lose whatever control he thinks I still have. That's the truth of me now. I don't defend you out of obligation. I defend you out of instinct. He believes his disapproval will push me away from you, but he doesn't understand how twisted my heart has become around your name. Every time someone tries to tear you down, I love you harder. Every time they question you, my loyalty to you deepens. Every doubt they throw becomes a reason for me to hold on to you tighter. They don't realize that their resistance only fuels my desire to protect you. They're trying to break a bond that's already carved into bone. They think they can unwrite something that's already written into my soul. So let the palace whisper, let the king threaten, let the world doubt. None of it matters, because you're not defined by their words. You're defined by the effect you have on me. And I swear to you, as long as I breathe, no one, not even my father, will decide your worth. I will stand against every voice that tries to diminish you. Because I know who you are. I know what you are to me. And nothing they say will ever change. My father's words about you shocked me. I never expected him to speak of you the way he did. I thought he would question your background, your influence, your presence in my life. But the venom in his voice, I wasn't prepared for that. He spoke of you as if you were a threat, a danger, something poisonous wrapped in beauty. And I sat there frozen, wondering how a man who rules a kingdom can fear someone who doesn't even lift her voice to defend herself. But you changed me, didn't you? Maybe that's what terrifies him. Maybe he sees in me a version of myself he can't control, a version you created without even trying. He said you distract me. He said you cloud my judgment. He said you pull me away from everything I was raised to be. And for a moment, I wondered if he was right. But then I remembered your eyes, the way they look at me as if I'm not a crown, not a title, not a symbol, but a man. You're the only one who ever saw the human beneath the gold. If that's distraction, then let me be distracted forever. If loving you means losing the version of me he built, then maybe that version deserved to die. Because with you, I finally breathe. With you, I break free from the suffocating mold he forced around me. You weren't there to hear the contempt in his tone, the cold amusement when he questioned your intentions. He thinks everyone wants something from the throne, but you never asked for a single thing. Not power, not status, not privilege. All you ever wanted was me. And that's exactly why he hates you. Because you want the one thing he always tried to shape, control, and own. He thinks you stole me from him. He doesn't understand that I walked to you willingly, without hesitation, without second thoughts. You didn't take me. I chose you. and choices scare him more than enemies. He called you dangerous, dangerous, and I almost laughed because he doesn't know the real danger, the danger of a heart that refuses to bow. If only he knew how you've reshaped me, sharpened me, given me a fire I never had before. If he thinks your love weakens me, then he has no idea how strong I've become because of you. It's not weakness that makes me defend you with this kind of fury. It's the strength of a man who has finally found something worth losing everything for. And if danger means loving someone with my entire soul, then yes, you're the most dangerous thing that ever happened to me. But what hurt me, truly hurt me, was hearing him question your worth, as if he has the right to measure you, as if he has the right to speak about the woman who holds the parts of me he never bothered to understand. Every insult he threw at you felt like it was cutting into me instead. I wanted to shout, to break something, to show him that his words cannot define you. You are not what he thinks you are. You're not fragile, not small, not insignificant. You're the storm that shook every wall I was trapped behind. You're the truth he refuses to accept. After he left, I sat there in silence, thinking about how easily he underestimated you. He only sees the surface, the calmness, the softness. He doesn't know the strength beneath your quiet. He doesn't know how your silence holds more power than his entire counsel. He doesn't know that when you love with a loyalty that could rival kingdoms. If he understood even a fraction of who you are, he would fear losing you, not fear you taking me away. But kings don't understand hearts. They only understand control. And he lost control the moment you touched my life. So I'm telling you this now, not to hurt you, not to burden you, but to let you know exactly what I stand against, what I fight for. His words shocked me, yes, but they also woke something inside me, something fierce, something unbreakable. His disapproval doesn't push me away from you, it pulls me closer. Because if the world tries to paint you as the enemy, then I will gladly stand on the other side with you against all of them. His doubts don't scare me, his threats don't shake me. If anything, they made me realize just how far I'm willing to go for you. You don't know how hard it was to sit there and listen, pretending his words didn't tear through me. I kept my face still, controlled, expressionless, the way a prince should. But inside, I was burning. Every sentence felt like an attack on something sacred. I wanted to stand up, shout your name, defend you with the kind of fury that would shake the palace walls. But I stayed silent, not out of obedience, but because I knew if I spoke, I wouldn't stop. I would have said things no son should say to his father. That's the effect you have on me. You make me protect you beyond reason, beyond caution, beyond blood. When he finished speaking, I realized something. He doesn't fear you. He fears the power you have over me. He fears the way I change when it comes to you. The softness in my voice, the gentleness in my touch, the way I stop being his perfect hair and become something unpredictable. You broke the version of me he built. You made me human, emotional, reckless, and that terrifies him more than any political threat. He doesn't understand that a man is strongest when he loves without apology. He only understands dominance, not devotion. You became the one part of me he couldn't control, and that's why he tries to ruin your name. I should have expected his bitterness. It's in his nature to hurt what he cannot bend. But hearing him speak about you as if you were some mistake I made, that's where I lost myself. I kept looking at him and thinking, how can you judge her when you've never even looked into her eyes? How can he speak of you with such certainty when he doesn't know the way you steady me when the world becomes too loud? He sees you as a threat, but I see you as the only place where I'm safe enough to be real. Maybe that's why his words shocked me, because they revealed how blind he is to the truth. After he left, the silence felt violent. I kept replaying his sentences, trying to understand how anyone could twist something pure into something dangerous. And then I realized, the danger isn't you. The danger is what I'm willing to do for you. He knows that if it ever came down to choosing between his crown and your hand, I would choose you without hesitation. That's what frightens him, not you. Not your love, but the strength it gives me to defy him. He raised a prince, but you created the man. And men who love deeply don't bow easily. I don't know where you are right now, but I wish you could hear me. I wish you could feel the way my hands shake with the need to protect you from every harsh word spoken behind palace walls. I wish you knew how every insult thrown at you becomes a wound carved into me. You're not here, yet everything I do revolves around the thought of you, your breath, your silence, your absence. And as much as it hurts, I'm grateful for the pain, because it reminds me that my love for you hasn't weakened. It has sharpened. It has become something fierce, something unbreakable. The more he speaks against you, the more I realize how much you mean to me. His disapproval doesn't distance me from you. It pushes me deeper into the gravity of who you are. You're the rebellion I never planned, the choice I never questioned, the fire I never wanted to extinguish. You may not be beside me right now, but your shadow follows me in every room, every decision, every breath. Even when I'm silent, I'm thinking of you. Even when I'm still, I'm fighting for you. And he will never understand that kind of loyalty. So let him talk. Let him doubt. Let him poison the air with his judgments. None of it matters, because he doesn't know what I know. He doesn't feel what I feel. He doesn't carry your name like a heartbeat inside him. I do. And no matter how harsh his words become, no matter how fierce the pressure grows,
this is the opposite of all of that. This is the kind of job that fills you. The kind that gives back more than it asks. The kind where you show up every day, not because you have to, not because someone is watching or evaluating or keeping score, but because showing up feels like the best thing you could possibly do with your time. The job is this, and stay with me, because I mean every word of what I'm about to say. The job is letting me love you. That's it. That's the whole description. That's the full scope of what I'm asking. Let me love you. Show up for that. Be present for it. Don't run from it when it gets real. Don't minimize it when it gets big. Don't talk yourself out of it when the careful part of your mind starts looking for reasons it can't possibly be as genuine as it feels. Just let it happen. Let me do this. Let me show up for you every single day with everything I have, and let that be enough, and let yourself receive it, and let us build something from it that neither of us has ever had before. That's the job. And luckily, so luckily, it's all about us. I want you to stay right here with me, because I have so much to tell you about what this looks like, about what I mean when I say I want to love you. Because I think love gets described in very broad, very vague terms most of the time. People say it like it's one thing, one undifferentiated feeling, one uniform experience. But it isn't. Love is made of specifics. Love is built from the particular and the detailed and the everyday. And I want to tell you specifically in detail, in the most everyday honest language I have, exactly what loving you looks like from where I'm standing. Exactly what the job description contains. Every responsibility, every task, every quiet daily thing that I am signing up for with my whole heart and zero hesitation. I want you to know what you're saying yes to. I want you to know what I'm offering before you decide. And I think by the time I'm done telling you, something in you is going to feel something very specific that I don't want to name yet. I want you to feel it first. And name it yourself, in your own time, in your own quiet. The first thing, the very first item on the list of what loving you looks like, I will notice you. Not occasionally, not when something dramatic is happening and your feelings are too large to miss. I mean the small noticing. The daily, quiet, unglamorous noticing that most people skip because they're busy or distracted or simply not paying the kind of attention that love actually requires. I will notice when you're tired before you say you're tired. I will notice when something is sitting on you that you haven't found words for yet. I will notice the particular way your energy changes when something is wrong. That subtle shift, that slight dimming, that thing you probably think you hide well, but that I will learn to read the way you learn to read weather. Not to fix it immediately, not to rush in with solutions before you've had the chance to even feel it fully, but just to know, to be someone who knows. To be someone who sees you in the ordinary moments, not just the announced ones. I have been paying attention to you for longer than you realize. And what I've noticed is that you are someone who gives a great deal and receives quietly. You are someone who makes sure other people are okay and then handles your own okayness privately, in the small spaces between caring for everyone else. You are someone who smiles in a way that is real, but sometimes contains something underneath it. Something tired, something that has been carrying a weight for a while and gotten so used to carrying it that you've stopped noticing it's heavy. I notice. I have always noticed. And one of the things I want to do, one of the things on the list is be someone who takes some of the weight. Not all of it, not in a way that makes you feel rescued or diminished, but in the quiet way that a person takes weight when they simply walk beside you and share the carrying without making a ceremony of it. That's part of the job. Walking beside you and sharing the carrying. The second thing, I will make you feel like the most important person in any room, not by ignoring everyone else, but by the specific and deliberate way I direct my attention toward you. There is an art to making someone feel chosen in a crowded space. It doesn't require grand gestures. It doesn't require announcements. It's in the small navigations, the way I find you across a room without looking like I'm looking, the way I angle myself toward you in conversation even when we're talking to other people, the way I check in with my eyes when something is happening that I want to share with you before I share it with anyone else. These small, quiet, consistent choices that add up over time to a person feeling without ever being able to point to a single specific moment that they are someone's first priority, their first thought, their most important person. You will always be my most important person. I want you to feel that in the way it's built from 1,000 small daily things, not from one big declaration that fades after the moment passes. The third thing, and this one is important, so I want you to really hear it. I will fight for your joy, not your comfort necessarily, because comfort and joy are not always the same thing, and sometimes the path to real joy requires a kind of discomfort that comfort would never allow. But your joy, The deep, genuine, lights you from the inside kind of joy, I will fight for that. I will pay attention to what produces it, and I will orient our life toward more of it. I will remember the things that make your eyes do that thing they do when you're genuinely happy, that particular brightness, that specific quality of being fully present that comes over a face when something real and good is happening. I will remember what causes that, and I will spend a great deal of my time and energy and creativity making it happen more. Because watching you be genuinely happy is one of the greatest things I have ever experienced, and I want to experience it every day, so that is partly selfish. I'm fighting for your joy because your joy is one of my favorite things in the world. I want more of my favorite things. That's the job too. I want to tell you about mornings, because I think mornings are underrated as a measure of love, and I think the morning version of love is actually one of the most honest versions. Anyone can be romantic in the evening, in the good light, when everyone's rested and the world is soft. But mornings are the unguarded time. Mornings are when you're least performative, least managed, most simply and honestly yourself. And I want your mornings. I want the morning version of you. The one that exists before the day has asked anything of you, before you've had to be capable or presentable or any particular way. The version that's just waking up and still soft around the edges and slightly uncertain about the day ahead. I want to be the first good thing that happens in your morning, not in a dramatic way, in the quietest possible way. I want to be the warm thing, the steady thing, the thing that reminds you, before the day has had a chance to tell you otherwise, that you are loved, completely and continuously and without condition. I want to hand you that knowledge with your first cup of tea. I want it to be so ordinary and so consistent that you stop being surprised by it and start simply living inside it, the way you live inside warmth, without constantly remarking on the temperature. I want our mornings to be something we build together, something that becomes ours, not a routine in the boring, mechanical sense, but a ritual in the sacred sense, a set of small, repeated, chosen moments that say every single day without fail, that we have decided each other, that the choosing didn't happen once and then stop, that it happens again every morning, quietly, in the way we move around each other in the early light, in the way we make space for each other in the ordinary choreography of a shared day beginning. Let me tell you about something I've imagined so clearly it already feels like a memory. I imagine a Sunday. No particular Sunday, all of them, really, the accumulated Sundays of a life we're building. And in this Sunday there is no schedule and no demand, and nowhere we have to be. And you are somewhere nearby in the same room or the next one, close enough that I can hear you, close enough that the space between us is inhabited and warm. And I am doing something simple, reading or just sitting or making something in the kitchen, and you come in unannounced and sit close. Not because anything needs to happen, not because there's an agenda, just because being near is what you want, and being near is what I want, and we have built a life where that wanting is simply and easily answered. And we sit, and time moves the way it only moves on Sunday mornings, when you have nowhere to be, and someone you love beside you, slowly, generously, like it has more than enough of itself to share, and nothing remarkable happens. And it is, without question, one of the best moments of my life. I want that Sunday with you. I want all of those Sundays, stacked quietly on top of each other, building something that looks from the outside like an ordinary life, but feels from the inside like the extraordinary thing it actually is. Now let me tell you the harder parts of the job, Because I promised you honesty, and honesty includes the parts that aren't golden like Sunday mornings. It includes the Tuesday evenings when one of us is short-tempered and the other one has to decide to be generous instead of reactive. It includes the disagreements, and there will be disagreements. There will be moments when we see the same thing completely differently. And both of us are convinced we're right, and the conversation goes in circles before it finds its way through. It includes the days when I'm not my best self, when I'm tired or frustrated or carrying something I haven't fully processed, and I bring less than I should to our shared space. I want you to know that I know that will happen. I'm not coming to you with the promise of perfection. I am coming to you with the promise of return, of always finding my way back, of never letting the hardness of a hard moment become a reason to stop choosing us. The job includes that. The coming back, the repairing, the willingness to sit in the discomfort of having gotten something wrong and work through it instead of around it. I will always work through it with you. I will always come back to the table. I will always choose the conversation over the silence, the repair over the distance, the us over the temporary comfort of being right. That's not a small promise. I want you to receive it as the large and serious thing it is. I want to tell you what I need from you in return, not demands, needs. Honest human needs that I'm telling you about. Because I think real intimacy includes knowing what someone needs, not just what they're willing to give. I need your honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when what you're feeling is something you think might be too much or too complicated, or something I might not want to hear. Tell me anyway. I would always rather know the real thing than be comfortable with a managed version of it. Tell me when something I've done has hurt you. Tell me when you need something I haven't thought to give. Tell me when you're struggling in a way that my usual ways of helping aren't reaching. Talk to me. Keep talking to me. Let the conversation between us be the kind that never fully closes, the kind that keeps opening into new rooms the longer we're in it. I need your patience with my learning, because I will not always know exactly how to love you correctly right away. Loving a person well is a practice, not an arrival. You don't reach it once and then maintain it effortlessly. You keep learning, you keep adjusting, you keep paying attention and discovering new things about what this specific, particular, irreplaceable person needs from love, and then trying to provide exactly that. I will keep learning you, but in the early days, in the days when I'm still figuring out the specific shape of what you need, I need you to help me understand, to tell me when I've missed something, to believe that the missing is not indifference, but an experience, and that the effort beneath it is real and consistent and will not stop. I need you to believe in what we're building, even when it's not finished yet, even when it's still rough in places, still finding its shape, still becoming the thing it's going to be. I need you to see the potential in the unfinished version and trust that we're building towards something worth being patient for. Because we are. I know we are. I feel that in the same place I feel all the things I'm most certain about. Not in my thoughts, where doubt can get in, but somewhere below thought. Somewhere quiet and direct and completely honest. In that place, I know what we're building is worth every patient, imperfect, learning as we go moment of the building. You know what else is part of the job? The fun. I want to tell you about the fun because I think I've been very serious and very tender, and those things are true and real and important. But so is this. So is the fact that I want to laugh with you until something hurts. I want to do ridiculous things with you. I want to be completely silly with you in the private way that two people can be silly together when they trust each other enough to be ridiculous without self-consciousness. I want to have inside jokes that make no sense to anyone else. I want to make you laugh when you're trying to be serious about something that is actually slightly absurd. I want to be the person who finds the funny thing in the hard moment. Not to dismiss the hardness, but to remind you that even hard moments have something light in them if you look from the right angle. I want to travel with you. I want to see your face in new places, in places where neither of us has context or history, where we're just two people discovering something together for the first time and everything is slightly unknown, and that unknowing is something we navigate side by side. I want to watch you fall in love with a place. I want to see what you're like when you're somewhere that surprises you. I want to walk down streets that have no particular meaning yet, and make them meaningful simply by walking them together. I want us to have places in the world that are ours, not because we own them, but because something happened there that made them permanently part of our story. I want to know your dreams, not the sleeping ones, your real ones. The ones you carry carefully because they feel too large or too vulnerable to share, without being certain of how they'll be received. I want to be someone you share them with, without that careful guarding. I want to be the person who receives your biggest dreams with seriousness and warmth, and the immediate question of, okay, so how do we make this happen? Not a passive audience for your dreaming, but an active participant, a co-builder. Someone who takes what you want for your life as seriously as I take what I want for mine. And who understands that the best version of us is the one where we are each helping the other become more fully what they were always trying to become. Your dreams are not too big. I need you to hear that. Whatever you've been told, whatever experience has taught you about the appropriate size of wanting, forget it. Your dreams are exactly the right size. And you deserve someone who looks at the full scope of what you want for your life and says, without flinching, without immediately listing the obstacles, yes, let's go. I'm with you. Tell me where we start. I'm that person. This job that I'm offering you, this let me love you job, it comes with a partner, someone in your corner, someone who is not watching from a careful distance to see if you succeed before they commit their support, but someone who commits the support first and then helps make the success happen. That's what I'm signing up for. That's part of the role. I want to make you feel every single day that you made the right choice. Not by being perfect. I've let go of perfect. Perfect is not the goal. By being consistent, by being present, by being someone whose caring never has an expiration date, whose attention doesn't wander, whose choosing of you is so regular and so ordinary and so dependably there that you stop waiting for it to change and start simply trusting it. I want to become someone you trust so completely that the wondering stops. The is this real wondering, the how long will this last wondering, the what's the catch wondering. I want to be consistent enough for long enough that all of that goes quiet, and what's left is just us. Simple and real and built from 1,000 honest days of showing up. I know this is a big ask. I know that asking someone to let themselves be loved, really loved, fully loved, without armor, is one of the most vulnerable things a person can do. I know it requires a kind of courage that is quiet and private, and doesn't get celebrated the way other courage does. And I know you might be sitting with this right now, feeling something complicated, feeling the wanting of it, and the fear of it, and the hope of it, all at the same time, all tangled together, all pulling in slightly different directions. I know that feeling. I know it because I've felt it too. Every time I've been honest with you, every time I've chosen to say the real thing instead of the safe thing. And I want to tell you that the complicated feeling is okay. You don't have to have it sorted before you say yes to this. You don't have to have the fear gone and the doubt resolved and the armor fully set aside before you step toward what I'm offering. You can come with all of it still present, the hope and the fear and the wanting and the uncertainty, and I will take all of it. I will hold all of it gently. I will not make you feel like you should have arrived more prepared or more certain or more ready. Come as you are, exactly as you are, with every complicated feeling intact, and we will figure out the rest together, slowly, honestly, in the particular and unhurried way that two people figure things out when they've decided that figuring it out together is better than any alternative. The job starts whenever you're ready. There's no deadline. There's no pressure. There's just an open door and me standing in it, completely certain, completely patient, completely yours, waiting for you to walk through. And I want you to know, I have been waiting with the happiest heart, not the anxious kind of waiting, not the checking the clock, watching the door, growing slightly resentful kind of waiting that wears a person down over time. The other kind, the kind that doesn't feel like waiting at all, because the thing you're waiting for has already made the waiting feel worthwhile. The kind where the anticipation itself is a form of joy, where simply knowing that something beautiful is coming is enough to make the ordinary days feel lit from inside. That's how I've been waiting for you. With a full heart, with a patient heart, with a heart that has not once questioned whether you were worth the waiting, because the answer to that is so obvious and so complete that the question barely forms before it dissolves. You are worth every single quiet day of it, and I want to stay in this with you right now, because there is more I need to say about this job, about this life I'm inviting you into, about the specific and detailed and completely honest way I intend to show up for you. Because I realize I told you the what. I told you I want to love you, but I haven't fully told you the how. And the how is everything. The how is where love actually lives. Not in the declaration, but in the daily practice of it. Not in the feeling, but in the 10,000 small decisions that express the feeling in ways that actually reach another person, that actually land, that actually make a difference in the texture of their daily life. I want to tell you the how, all of it, in as much detail as I can give you, because you deserve to know exactly what you're walking into, and because I have thought about this, about you, about us, about the specific shape of the love I want to build with you, more carefully and more completely than I have thought about almost anything else in my life. So stay with me. There's so much more. I want to tell you about the small things first, because I think the small things are where people get love wrong most often. They invest in the big moments, the anniversaries, the grand gestures, the sweeping declarations, and they let the small things slip. Not out of cruelty, but out of inattention. Out of the easy assumption that the person knows, that it doesn't need to be said again, that love can survive on the memory of the last time it was expressed, without needing to be expressed again today. And maybe it can survive that way. But I don't want us to survive. I want us to thrive. And thriving is built in the small things, the daily things, the so ordinary you almost miss them, things that add up, invisibly and powerfully, to a person feeling cherished, feeling seen, feeling like they are someone's active, ongoing, never taken for granted priority. So here are my small things. Here is the daily inventory of how I love you, item by ordinary item. I will remember what you told me. Not just the big things, not just the important things you flagged as important, the small things. The things you mentioned once in passing, casually, not expecting them to be retained. The name of the thing that happened to you in childhood, that still surfaces sometimes unexpectedly. The food that you don't like and the reason you don't like it, which is actually a small story about a specific moment rather than just a preference. The thing your mother used to say that lives in you, that comes out in your speech sometimes is, without you realizing. The dream you had once that you laughed off but that clearly meant something. I will remember all of it, because I am paying attention, not just to the headlines of you but to the footnotes. And the footnotes, I have found, are where the real person lives. In the small print, in the details that didn't seem worth emphasizing. I want all of it. I am keeping all of it. I will check in on you. Not in the performative, going through the motions way. Not the how are you that doesn't actually pause for the answer. I mean the real checking in. The I was thinking about you today, because of this specific thing checking in. The I remembered you had that difficult thing happening and I wanted to know how it went checking in. The kind that tells you that even when I'm not with you, some part of my attention is with you. That you live in my thoughts, not just when you're in front of me, but in the ordinary minutes of my ordinary days when something I see or hear or think about sends a small, quiet signal in the direction of you. You will feel thought about, not smothered, not monitored, thought about. There is a difference, and I know the difference.